I'm going to tell you about one of the most haunted locations in the whole of the United Kingdom, St. Briavels Castle. It was built in the early 12th century and was a protected area where only the king was allowed to hunt. Later, Edward I built the gatehouse towers and turned the castle into a crossbow factory. The gatehouse later became a prison. There were definitely some awful conditions, and people were mutilated to discourage others from committing crimes. There have even been reports of people being hung. This was back in the medieval times. Now, the castle serves as a youth hostel, which is quite a drastic change from its rich history. We've gotten the castle's basic history out of the way, so we can get into some of the many different paranormal experiences people have had whilst visiting or staying here. One particularly interesting room is called the hanging room. This is the room where prisoners with death sentences would have been brought to spend their last moments before being hung. Not a very creative name, I'll admit. People have experienced the horrifying feeling of their necks being tightly squeezed and being pushed when they spent time in this room. There have also been reports of hearing marbles dropping, humming, and scuttling. A dark figure has also been seen standing in the doorway. These experiences are very difficult to explain away. A ghost that is heard surprisingly often and surprisingly loud is a baby. A baby's cries and screams come from King John's bedroom. People staying in the room itself report hearing it, but also others staying in different parts of the hotel say that they can hear it coming from the direction of King John's room. A recently horrifying discovery was made in the castle during renovations. Whilst they were making changes to a ceiling, a corpse of a wrapped-up baby fell from the rafters. Whether or not this provides an explanation to the crying heard, it is very tragic. Another apparition seen often is that of a knight in full armour, as if he's ready to go out into battle. He's only ever seen for a few seconds, in different places around the grounds. His armour catches the moonlight and then he disappears within a few seconds. The chaplain's room has also had its fair share of spooky happenings. Like in many other parts of the castle, people feel hands touching them, and when they look, no one is around. Dark figures have also been seen in this room, sometimes standing in the corner, but often in front of the doorway. Guests have also seen indentations being formed on their beds, as if a ghost is sitting down. An area called the Porter's Lodge has had a violent experience that cannot be easily explained and has probably deeply affected the person it's happened to. During a man's stay, he was lying on his bed and suddenly felt like he was being pinned down, unable to move his arms or legs. A shadow figure or dark mass has been seen standing by the fireplace and by the doorway. Figures in doorways seem to be a common theme in this castle. The sound of something dragging across the floor is also often heard in this room, day and night. A very old part of the castle is known as the State Apartment, so it's not surprising that this is a very active area. Recently, it's been split up into separate rooms and corridors. One is known as Isabella's room. In here, there are lots of reports of footsteps walking slowly past guests' beds at night, and in the corridor outside. People have also heard the curtain being pulled closed despite the fact it was already closed. Scratching and very loud bangs are reported against the walls as well. The most popular theory about what haunts this room is a little girl in white. She's been seen walking through walls in the past. These are only some of the ghost stories connected to this castle. I really fell down a rabbit hole whilst researching this location. If you want to get lost on the internet, I would recommend reading people's individual accounts of what happened to them while staying here. It's not hard to see why this is considered one of the UK's most haunted sites.